of something. You've said quite a lot of times that you don't like to read, but yet you're obviously a well-learned person. And most people, in my experience, who are well-learned are people who have read a lot. How does that work out in your case?
Well, I don't know how I do it. I watch television, and I see the same shit on television that you do. I don't watch any special programs.
I'll sort of flip that around. As I said, most people that in my experience, who watch lots of television wind up being pretty pedestrian in their thought processes, perhaps as a result. But obviously,
there are ways to extract information from television. First of all, one of the reasons why I like Keneally so much is because he has this fabulous ability to memorize. I have a fabulous ability to memorize too. Not the same stuff that he does, or the same way that he does it, but if I see or hear an idea, I can store a three-dimensional version of that thing and recall it in unbelievable detail instantly. And it's located, how computers work. You got the hard disk, which has, distant storage, and then you got the RAM section of a computer where anything connects to anything else instantly, because it's faster memory.
Right.
I have a large RAM capacity in my brain I keep those types of artifacts online in this RAM, okay? And it works like a filter. So if I watch television, I can automatically run that piece of shit that they're broadcasting to me through this filter. And I can throw away all the propaganda stuff that they're trying to hurl at me and find some way to extract the real data from it. That's the challenge of watching CNN, because so much of it is just bullshit. But lurking in there are some hard facts. And if you can sort them and accumulate them, once you've knocked all the bullshit off of the fact, stored the fact, that becomes part of the RAM and part of the filter, and you just constantly reapply that to all the data that's coming in. And I have the ability to connect ideas and sort stuff very fast. And the problem with being able to do that is you can execute the mental gymnastics faster than you can ever explain it to somebody what you did. So I can look at something and I can know stuff about it that it would take me so long to explain to somebody else what I already did at the point where I was, like exposed to Eric's twinkling lights there. I already ran that through the filter and came up with conclusions about it that, it's another thing. That's just the way my brain works.
Yeah.
So as far as learning stuff, when I say I don't read, it's not 100% that I never pick up something and read it.
Obviously.
But what I do read, I extract a lot from it. And that's what I've been able to do. And the sum total of what I know is the result of 49 years of doing that to my environment.
It's a thing that obviously comes in pretty handy for your abilities as a composer, too. And how
it comes in
synthesize.
handy everywhere. I'm trying to think of a place where it wouldn't come in handy. It's not something that other people couldn't do. You just have to think about thinking. I wish there was a way that U.S. schools could teach people how to use their brains to do this, because it is a completely learned technique.
Yeah.
There's nobody else in my family that does it, so it's not a genetically inherited thing. I figured out how to do it. I trained myself how to do it, and I use it all the time. And I think that you could teach somebody else how to extract data that way.
Seems like it could be a pretty valuable thing if it could be taught to people in general to have.
I've thought about it. If there was a way that I could give you a formula that you could stick into your publication right now so that everybody here could, do the same thing, they'd get more out of life with less effort. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The best I can do is just tell you that it is possible to do it, that you have to rearrange in your own brain the way you conduct thought processes. You have to turn your brain inward for the moment to think about, how do I think? You say to yourself, what is mechanically going on when I think? I don't think most people ever consider that. They take it for granted that they are thinking. Now, if you want to be thinking with a capital T, you have to organize the way in which you do it. Just like if you want to prepare for the Olympics, you got to build up your muscles. You know,
Sure.
if you want to prepare for thinking, you have to clean up all the data that you've got stored in there and organize it so that you can use it. Anybody who has ever tried to manage a database on a computer, have you ever had any computer experience?
None whatsoever.
Well, think of the Winchester hard disk is like a box of data.
Mm-hmm.
It contains all of your files, all of your letters, all of the stuff that you're working on, and the software that you're using to sort and manipulate the data. And then there's another part of the computer called the RAM, which is faster than the hard disk. Hard disk takes time to load. But
Right.
the business end is the RAM. The more megabytes of RAM you have, the more stuff you can do instantly, or as close to instantly as
Right.
electronics will allow
The
you to
faster
do.
you can do the process.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so when you consider what is up here in terms of memory storage, you know, I think that they say the average guy uses 10% of his brain. Well, nobody ever told you couldn't use the other 90. You may never get to 100% capacity, but certainly if you increase to 11%, you're ahead of the game. You know, all you got to do is train yourself to do it. And this is not it's not a fairy tale. It's something that I think anybody can do, but you have to have the desire to do it. Like some people live their lives just to grow muscles,
Sure.
and other people live their lives just to lose weight, and other people live their lives just to get high, and other people live their lives just to make other people miserable. Well, believe it or not, you could live your life just to learn how to process data, and it's great. It's really fun once you get into it.
Yeah,
There is an actual mechanical process that goes on with the neurons, and
Yeah.
as you push them farther and farther out, you know, into areas they're not used to being, and they'll go into those areas and activate new areas.
That's right. And I'm telling you, the important thing to remember is anybody can do it. Dan Quayle became vice president, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody, now anybody
Almost
can.
anything can happen, huh?
Yeah, now George Bush is going to Colombia with a $30 million bounty on his head.
That's pretty cheap.
Yeah, well,
Well, maybe not. You know, maybe I don't know.